Hello, CME Nation, and welcome back for another episode of the greatest podcast ever co-hosted by Pat Klett. For those of you who have listened for a while now, you know how awesome Mr. Klett is. Pat is so smooth, Velvet often calls him asking for advice. And then there's the one and only Bill Sanders, the Sandman. Most people don't know this, but Bill once free soloed El Capitan, base jumped the Burj Khalifa, and tight-roped over the Grand Canyon all in the same day. And he says it really wasn't that hard either. But what has been hard for Bill is the past couple days with that awful weather out in Seattle, which is why he is dialing in via phone today. Bill, how's it going out there, brother?
Oh, guys, it's been a day. I'm actually sitting in my truck in my driveway on Wi-Fi. You know, the show must go on. Let's do episode 14, and I may kill my video just to try to help with bandwidth here, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, as much as the ladies want to see your face, we gotta keep the quality of this program at a high level as well. So you do whatever you need to do, buddy. Thank you in all seriousness for joining us. And I know Pat and I both hope you and the family are doing well.
Thanks, boys.
All right. Well, before we get into the opening, let's tell our listeners where they can find us. You can find us everywhere, just like Bad Decisions after Pat does tequila shots. And you can check us out at Instagram at @EnterSandmanSports. Check out our website at entersandmansports.com, where we have lots of articles, expert advice, our St. Louis Syndicate videos, all of our podcasts, and much, much more. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Enter Sandman Sports. Follow us on Facebook at Enter Sandman Sports. And speaking of Facebook, gentlemen, I have to tease one of the best and coolest things that Sandman Sports has done. This trio is teaming up with the St. Louis Syndicate for a very special live streaming event during the Raiders-Chiefs game on Black Friday. Going to be the whole game with all of us, some cool surprises along the way. So get that shopping done early and join us on our Facebook page at Enter Sandman Sports at 3 p.m. Eastern on Black Friday, and get ready for a lot of fun. We also have some squares pools to go along with that event, and we'll share a lot more later in the show about all of this. So stay tuned. All right, gents. Well, we'll keep this opening light and quick, but I will say it is going to only feed into the stereotype of hot-blooded American males, because we are going to briefly talk about pretty girls. So this past weekend, I decided to clean out the storage room in our basement, and while doing so, I came across a box of, I don't know, probably 40 to 50 old Maxim magazines from the late 90s and early 2000s. Yes, I was a pretty big Maxim guy back in the day. I had a subscription for years. Absolutely loved reading that mag. I mean, honestly, what's not to love as a guy? You got stories all about men, men's health, dating advice, stuff around movies, TV, and of course, lots and lots of scantily clad, beautiful women. It was basically the Playboy version of a magazine that you could still feel comfortable reading on an airplane. Barely. But anyway, as I thumbed through some of these, I saw a lot of beautiful women on the covers back in the day. Alyssa Milano, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Anna Kournikova, Heather Graham, and many more. So it got me thinking, if we were going to start a men's magazine called Sandman with Pat as our editor-in-chief, of course, who are some current lovely ladies we would like to potentially see on the cover of our magazine? It can be sports or non-sports related. It's basically our current celebrity crushes. Pat, I cannot wait to hear yours, so get us started.
Yeah, I thought Maxim was solid, but kind of douchey. The covers always grabbed your attention, no doubt, at the magazine rack, and they had some talent. But it was always funny. Inside, they had the random things like that were poorly written, and like how to open a beer bottle without an opener, or how to get the hottest woman in the room to talk to you, and poorly written articles that were fun to read. But I would always, like, if it was like in a friend's bathroom, I'd never touch the thing. I didn't want anything to do with that thing. You'd have to use tongs to grab it off the dirty bathroom floor. So no thanks. But for me, besides putting my wife on there with in a hooded sweatshirt, hair starting to frizz after a run, because that's the ultimate beauty, I'm going to have to go with Julia Roberts, Margot Robbie, Anne Hathaway, Emma Watson, or Charlize Theron. That's what it is.
Got some old school beauties in there.
Yep.
I
Good
like
ones.
it, Pat.
I haven't evolved much.
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, can I just say, have you guys seen Wolf of Wall Street with Margot Robbie? I mean, is there a sexier scene than that scene in that movie?
No.
It's a good one.
Oh, yeah, that is a good one. What about Pat? This might be your best show. You're already off to just an incredibly awesome start.
It's
way
always
to go,
when I'm
Bill.
underprepared.
Off the cuff.
I do my
Bill,
best
what
work.
do you got, buddy? Yeah.
Well, I feel a little creepier that I'm not on video for some reason, but talking about this topic,
it is great.
Yeah, Pat had some good ones there. A little crossover, Margot Robbie for sure. I love Sydney Sweeney, ScarJo, Gal Gadot. I think we share that one, Bierman. You're a big Gal fan. And then, have you guys seen Lucy Robson? She's a golfer out of the UK.
No.
Just incredible. So I had to put at least one sports athlete on there. I don't think she made it on the LPGA tour, but she's got millions of followers and big in the social media scene. Yeah, she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. So that's
like
my list.
12
How about
years
you,
old?
I think she's in her late 20s.
Yeah,
I think
not a bad one. All right,
those are nice. So I only have 3 on my list, and 2 of the 3 you mentioned, Bill. So Sydney Sweeney and Gal Gadot. I mean, there's just something about Sydney Sweeney. I've mentioned her on this show before. Just I find her so attractive. If you have not seen the SNL clip of her as a Hooters waitress, check it out. It's pretty funny.
That was funny.
And I do just have to say, an underrated gem of a movie of hers that I would highly recommend is an erotic thriller from 2021 called The Voyeurs. Watch it and you can thank me later. I would also throw in Anna de Armas there.
I love her. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Please tell me you're joking, by the way, Pat. You do know who Sydney Sweeney is, right?
No, I do. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Oh, you don't get it? Oh, okay.
Not for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
She's got kind of a
Anna
weird
de Armas,
face.
Yeah.
I would say you're in the
Anna de Armas
is
solid. Yeah, well, I'm picky. I'm very picky.
That's a good one, Eric. Yeah,
right,
I didn't think of her.
Yeah. Yeah, so Anna de Armas, first movie I saw on her was Knives Out, where she was like pretty sweet, naive, just cute. Then I saw her in some other movies, and I was like, oh, wow, this chick brings it. She was also in the Marilyn Monroe biopic Blonde, which wasn't a good movie, but she was very good in it. And like my recommendation of The Voyeurs with Sydney Sweeney, check out Anna in a movie called Deep Water with Ben Affleck. You will not be sorry. And then, Gal Gadot. Oh man, she's awesome. I am speechless. Yeah, she's awesome. So, all right. Well, now that we've lost sponsorship opportunities from all women-led organizations, let's get into the show. As like always, we have a busy and awesome episode. Our Nailed It competition for listeners continues to garner more interest. We will announce our week 2 winner later in the show, so keep listening. And if you haven't joined the contest yet, do it this week. We are about to get into headlines from the past weekend. Then we'll share our hot takes and reflections. We'll get into our Stone Cold Locks, where Pat bounced back exceptionally well with another undefeated week. This guy is on fire. Our top 5, which is another fun. He is on fire. We'll do our top 5, which is another fun one that I think everyone will enjoy. And just lots of fun and shenanigans along the way. And don't miss Pat. He will be sharing details on his time as an undercover food critic for gas station diners. So that should be fun. All right, let's dive into the major headlines from the past weekend. The Cleveland Cavaliers finally were handed their first loss of the season on Monday, falling to the Celtics. But they still have a very impressive 15-1 record and sit atop the NBA standings. The top 5 in college basketball hasn't changed much. Kansas, UConn, Gonzaga, Auburn, and Iowa State are all sitting there. Really haven't been a ton of early season upsets yet, but something tells me that might be changing as we head into Thanksgiving week and some holiday tournaments. Also, I got to just give major props to Marquette guard Cam Jones, who became the first Golden Eagle since Dwayne Wade in 2003 to record a triple-double with his 17, 13, and 10 line on Monday. Marquette toppled the Purdue Boilermakers in a nice little early season game between top 15 teams. Well done, Mr. Jones, and congrats. In college football, this week's rankings were released on Tuesday, and the top 12 currently are Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, and Boise State. And even though Tennessee is 11th and BYU is 14th, BYU would be slotted in as the 12th seed for winning the Big 12, and Boise State would be the number 4 seed because they would be the 4th highest ranked conference champion in the playoffs ahead of BYU. Still, a lot is going to change, obviously, with some huge games over the next few weeks, but pretty impressive to see 4 of the top 5 teams from the Big Ten. Texas is still number 3, and they survived a trip to Fayetteville, but this team, guys, just does not look like they're firing on all cylinders. Their last 3 games were a loss to Georgia and 2 much closer than expected wins against Vandy and Arkansas. Huge Thanksgiving week battle against in-state hated rival Texas A&M looms and could dramatically change the landscape of the rankings for sure. This coming week, Texas hosts the Kentucky Wildcats, and I heard a stat regarding this game that is just crazy. This comes from a longtime Sandman Nation guy and my best friend. Shout out to Mr. Keith Vesper. Keith nor I have been able to corroborate this, but it came from a radio show down in Dallas. The first listener who emails us at info@entersandmansports.com to confirm that this is a true fact will receive 4 Sandman Sports koozies and an autographed picture of a shirtless Pat Klatt. So please let us know if this is true. All right. The stat was that Kentucky football has played 109 seasons and has never played a single game west of Austin, Texas.
Wow.
Is that even possible?
That's crazy.
I mean, that just seems crazy to me.
Anything's possible.
So we gotta figure out if that's true. I want our listeners to email us and let us know if they can prove that one way or the other. All right. Colorado continues on their tear, improving to 8-2 and sitting very pretty for a potential Big 12 championship game berth. The LSU Tigers disappoint in their trip to the swamp as the Gators chomp their way to a decisive 27-16 victory and put a few more flames under Brian Kelly's seat down in Baton Rouge. In a game between 2 past blue bloods stuck in their glory years, USC beats Nebraska 28-20 in a close game. Nebraska, after a promising 5-1 start that included a win over Colorado, has now dropped 4 straight and is in danger of missing a bowl game yet again. If they fall short, it would extend their stunning streak to 8 consecutive seasons without a bowl appearance, which is just mind-boggling given that it only takes 6 wins to qualify for a bowl. By the way, USC is now 5-0-1 all-time against Nebraska. In the game of the week, the Tennessee Volunteers go into Athens, Georgia, get up to a quick 10-0 lead, and promptly see the Bulldogs storm back and win in convincing fashion 31-17. And I got to say, boys, I texted you both right before the game guaranteeing that Georgia would cover the 8-point spread. It looked bleak early on, but that only allowed me to put more on Georgia in-game. Ended up being a nice little payout.
Nice work.
Did you capitalize, gentlemen? Pat, did you lay it down in Vegas?
I was in a casino when you texted me that, but I was so busy playing cards that I couldn't do it. I couldn't walk away.
All right. Well, I'm sure you won money playing blackjack, though.
No, I'm a terrible gambler. Vegas is a dangerous town. I needed to get out of there.
Yeah, are we going to hear some stories, Pat?
Off camera, yes.
Oh, we better hear some story.
At some point in episode
Yeah.
14, are we hearing some stories?
Well, you know what we should do? We should
Yeah.
tease it as part of our Black Friday live stream.
What?
All right. Well, the number one Oregon Ducks go into Madison and barely escape a feisty Wisconsin team 16-13. But they survived and they move on to a guaranteed spot in the Big Ten championship game against either Indiana, Ohio State, or Penn State. Speaking of Indiana and Ohio State, they play an epic game at the Shoe this Saturday. It's going to be very interesting to watch. And did you guys hear? Indiana signed Kurt Signetti to an 8-year extension where he will be paid an average annual salary of more than $8 million. That would make him the third highest paid coach in the Big Ten after Ryan Day and James Franklin. So well-deserved, Coach Sig, and I hope you continue to build a powerhouse there down in Bloomington.
That's a good thing he did that before he gets stumped.
Dude, good timing.
I'm telling you, I like Indiana plus the points big time. I actually think they could win that game.
Well, maybe a stone.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into it.
Okay.
We'll get into it.
Could be. Could be. All right, we'll see. All right, shifting to the NFL. I feel like every week I'm talking about how the Bengals lose another game they shouldn't lose. And you know what? I probably am, because they are 1-6 in one-score games this year. Just ridiculous. And Joe Burrow becomes the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 300 or more yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions in 2 straight games and lose both games.
Ouch.
Just so bad. Their season is unfortunately over. The Philadelphia Eagles are continuing a sneakily great season and now sit at 8-2, looking poised for a deep playoff run. In an AFC North showdown, the Steelers keep proving me wrong, as this team is truly legit this year. They beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens 18-16 in a huge game for both teams. And shockingly, this was the Steelers' first game all season against AFC North opponents. So they have a lot of upcoming games against the lowly Browns and Bengals, setting them up nicely for a postseason run. The Detroit Lions continue to look unstoppable as they crush the Jaguars 52-6. The Tua-led Dolphins look good, could make a late season run down there. Pats Vikes get a nice win over the Titans, and Bills Seahawks win a big one in San Francisco against the Niners. And in the biggest matchup of the week, the Buffalo Bills look like the better team and beat crybaby Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs 30-21 in Orchard Park. No word yet on Taylor Swift's dating prospects, but Pat believes she could be on the open market now, as she doesn't date losers. Do better, Kelsey. All right, gents, a lot happened again this week. Can't wait to hear your thoughts and reflections from the weekend. And Pat did spend the weekend in Vegas, so I'm wondering, if he is going to regale us with any of his tales from the desert. Pat, take it away, buddy.
I might need some more time to compose some tales, but I did get to play 3 really nice courses. I played Rio Seco, I think it's called, Wolf Creek, which is like an hour and 45-minute drive, and Cascada, I think it's called. And Cascada was fantastic. We had a caddy. I've never had a caddy, so it was just one caddy for all 4 of us. That was awesome. He'd come around and give us our yardage and tell us where the trouble is. And but I was so excited for my trip that I got kicked out of Touchdown Jesus, because I started someone who wasn't even playing. They were on a bye. Someone else was injured, and then my 3 others didn't come through. I just didn't focus. I was so
I saw you went
out,
but I didn't realize it.
I am out. And it was ugly. And
that
then
sucks.
my whole mantra on the flight out there is, all right, I'm betting heavy Vikes, heavy Detroit. And then you get out there and you get to the sports book and you're like, well, maybe I should parlay that with this and that. And so I parlayed Vikes. My big bet was parlay Vikes, Detroit, and then I threw in the Ravens, and that's what got me. And I bet on the Bengals when we were in the sports book on Sunday night, and that kicker just let me down twice.
We're not talking about that, Pat. We're moving on from that.
Anyway, but yeah, so but I am officially the world's worst gambler. I was up huge. And then the last night I went on a huge cold streak, and I didn't put some money aside that I had been winning. I just got, chasing the losses towards the end of the night. And man, I just don't belong in a casino. I'm not good at gambling.
What game? What's your game?
I was.
What do you play when you
I was
gamble?
bouncing around to every game. I did a lot of craps, a lot of ultimate hold'em, and even some pie gow. It was bad.
Pie gow's pretty cool, dude. Pie gow's pretty fun. It's hard to lose a lot of money in pie gow.
You think so, and then it just happens. I got on a table. This is what
That's
did
what
it.
everyone
I got
always
on a table,
says.
and this kid sitting there doing the slowest pull of his cards. So he's looking at his cards, and he's like peeking behind, and it goes one, and he's got to do this to 7 cards. So I'm just like, dude, come on, let's go. I got to lose money faster. Can you get going here, buddy? And that just set off my negative mojo in my head, and that's what lost it for me. So that's my weekend.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Did you make any winning bets whatsoever while you were out there?
Sports bets, not a one.
Yeah,
I only made 3.
Man,
I made that
and you've
parlay,
been so good on your Stone
and
Cold
the
locks.
Bengals. I know, and I was thinking when I'm like, I'm just gonna go out there and I'm just gonna do my Stone Cold locks in a parlay and be done.
Just go with your Stone Cold locks.
I couldn't remember my third one when I was out there. It was a lot of drinks and a lot of golf, and then we'll talk later.
Ouch.
So that's it.
Yeah, I thought you were on that Georgia bet.
All right.
Besides not having power until Sunday.
Yeah.
So I got a couple. How bad is this Cowboys team? I mean, they are awful. Did you guys watch Monday Night Football? Oh, they just look terrible. And I got to say, there's a big part of me that just doesn't like Jerry Jones, doesn't really like the Cowboys. But I found myself kind of thinking about next year, and there's a lot of banter about, will Coach Prime head there, and will they draft Shador? What about Ashton Genty? We've talked a lot about him on the pod. I mean, that guy's an absolute stud. Does he end up with the Cowboys? Just kind of some interesting future side notes, I thought. But boy, they just look awful. And by the way, yes, I did take them in my NFL teams draft. So that's really working out well for me this year. I mean, it was my 2nd round pick, and they are just awful. And I knew it was a terrible pick at the time. Why was I picking the Cowboys? I don't like them. So yeah, just painful. The other one was kind of a cool story, guys. I don't know if you saw it. It's actually tonight. We're recording this on a Wednesday, and Gino Auriemma just passed Tara Vanderveer as the winningest D1 basketball coach of all time. He has, for UConn, he has 1,217 wins now. And I didn't realize it. I mean, it makes sense when you start thinking about the math, but he's been at UConn for 40 years. That's just incredible. I mean, think about the amount of wins that is. I mean, it's nuts to think about getting to 1,217 wins. So good for Gino Auriemma. That's pretty amazing accomplishment as a major program head coach. So good for him. Good for all the ladies, the UConn Huskies. That was pretty cool to see. Bierman, how about you, bud?
For a second, I thought you were telling us that Gino Auriemma died.
I know he said Gino Auriemma.
We've got breaking news. Gino Auriemma passed. I was like, oh my God, what?
Yeah. No. Sorry,
So
I didn't.
That was
maybe
much
I didn't word that very
better
well.
and more uplifting news the way you ended that. So great to hear that.
Yeah.
He's an incredible coach. I would not have guessed 40 years though. Would not.
Yeah,
30. Yeah, 40. Wow, that's crazy. So wow.
And Willie
kudos to
Nelson
him.
died.
That's cool.
His hair.
Oh no.
Red.
You guys need to stop doing that because that's 2 for 2. You just got me again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got me. I'm like, what? I didn't hear this.
All right. So I'm going to focus on high school football today, gentlemen, particularly here in Southwest Ohio. But I do think both of these stories actually will resonate with most sports fans across the country. because these names should ring a bell. So first, last week we gave a rip to legendary coach John Robinson of USC and LA Rams lore. Today, I want to shout out to a lesser-known coach, but one that real college football fans from the 80s should remember. I'm talking about a gentleman named Mr. Jerry Faust. Faust coached Notre Dame for several seasons in the 80s, but before that, he was the head football coach at Moore High School in Cincinnati from 1962 to 1980, where he actually started the program from scratch and built it into a national powerhouse, and it is still actually a powerhouse today. Faust racked up 178 wins and 23 losses, including 7 unbeaten seasons, 5 Ohio State championships, and he won 4 high school football national championships back in the day. Because of his huge success as a high school coach, a very unusual move was made, and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish came calling in 1981 and asked him to be their head coach, despite him never coaching prior to that in college. Faust coached Notre Dame from 81 to 85. He went an uninspiring 30, 26, and 1, eventually getting fired and leading to the Irish hiring Lou Holtz, who would bring a national championship to South Bend a few years later in 1988. Faust then coached at Akron for 9 years, but didn't have a great record there either. He then became a motivational speaker. And I got to tell you, I actually got to see this guy speak in the early 2000s. He was just phenomenal. Very purpose-driven, family man, deeply religious, by all accounts, just a great man. And while he didn't do great in the college game, his legacy remains at Moore as they continue to be a national powerhouse. And this season, they continue their march in the Ohio State playoffs as the number 2 seed in the state. They actually, this Friday, play against another Cincinnati legendary high school program, St. X, in what should be a classic game. Speaking of Moore and keeping into the high school game, Moore beat a high school team in the playoffs 2 weeks ago named Lakota East. Why is that special? Well, for one, it's a mile from my house and where my 2 oldest kids graduated from and played sports for. But more importantly, I want to throw out a name from the past that I'm sure you both will remember. You boys remember Mr. John Kitna by any chance?
Of
Lions
course.
quarterback.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the
Seattle.
Lions quarterback
He
forever?
did play for the Lions.
Seattle.
Played for Central Washington.
Cincy? Didn't he play for Cincy?
Yes, he did. So Kitna played for the Seahawks from 96 to 2000, the Bengals from 01 to 05, and he ended his career with the Lions and Cowboys, playing a total of 16 years in the NFL. He always liked Cincinnati and is currently the head coach of Lakota East High School, which, as I said, is where both of my older kids went and very close to where I live. In his first season last year as coach, they went 1-9 and were just plain awful. This year, they went 8-3, made the Division I playoffs, won their first game, and then faced the number 2 rated team in the state, the aforementioned Moore Crusaders, where they promptly lost 55-28. But no shame there. So this was a great season for them. I wish Kitna luck into the future as a coach. And I also got to mention that his son Jamison Kitna is the starting quarterback and just committed to the Houston Cougars. So good luck to him as well. All right.
Named
let's
after
get into the
Jameson
segment
Winston?
where Jameson
Or a bottle
Winston
of Jameson.
Kitna.
One
Or,
of the 2.
yeah, Jameson.
Good night of JMO whiskey or the Jameson. What's his name? Winston? The
Stealing
guy who's
crab legs.
quarterback. Crab legs, yeah.
Yeah,
Jameis with
Jameis Winston, not Jameson. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
either way. Sorry, I'm alive. Long day.
Oh boy. All right, let's get in.
You can edit.
to
You can edit
segue
that one.
here.
Stone. Let's get into Stone Cold Locks. Well, Pat, as I mentioned, he has been incredibly hot. He continues his torrid season with a 3-0 record last week. I went 2-1. Bill checked in at 1-2. Season records for all of us are still quite impressive. We've got Pat at 24-11-1. Eric is at 21-14-1, and Bill is at 19-16-1. Pat, keep the momentum going and lead us off this week.
All right, I'm going to start with this one because I know we're going to be disagreeing. I have Ohio State, and is it minus 13 now? What's the latest? Is it minus 13 Ohio State over Indiana?
Is it creeped? Has it creeped
I
up to
saw it at
13?
12 and a
Wow,
half.
that's
Yeah.
12 and a half.
that's crazy.
Yep.
I might go bet that right now. In
I'll
fact,
even go
I'm betting
13.
it as
I'll even go 13.
we're doing live betting on the podcast. What do you think
I
of
know you've been riding the Signetti bus
If
all
only
year.
I could.
But this is the thing that happens every year in the Big Ten, where a team comes knocking on Ohio State's door and they look good versus everyone else. But either Ohio State or Michigan just thumps them back into reality. It's the feel-good story. Oh, this is the Gophers' year. This is the Hoosiers' year. This is, pick any team in the Big Ten, but every year it's the same thing because Ohio State has a 3D printer where they churn out 5-star players and don't have to worry about injuries because they just, their bench could beat most teams anyhow. I know Indiana is kind of a sexy pick right now, and I hope they pull it off. I hope I'm 2-1 by the end of the week in my locks, but I feel like we see this scenario every year about this time, and this is what happens. They get thumped by the Ohio States of the world. So, and it's in the shoe, and it's going to be loud. But this game makes up for the potential boring Ohio State Michigan next week. So, at least we got that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go. I feel like this is a game where Ohio State just like kills the dream, and I know we want it, but it just seems to happen every year. Lock number one. I know your lock's
I love
probably
it.
the opposite.
I love it.
But what
But
do you
two
got,
quick
Bill?
things there two quick things on Pat's pick. One, Eric probably just threw up in his mouth because of all the nice things Pat was saying about Ohio State. And also, number two, and now I'm forgetting what my number two was, so I should just skip ahead to that
Try
Pat goes to
turning the lights
Vegas.
on.
And yeah, I could try that. But Pat goes to Vegas, and all of a sudden he's picking college football games in his Stone Cold locks. I don't know what's happening. What's going on? I
This
mean,
one, I
Pat,
couldn't find three NFL locks, so I went with the one
I was just praying that
feel
you
I get.
picked
Yeah.
something that I picked this week so we could have a two Pat and I would win because I got 3 NFL games this week. So
There you go.
so Pat just mentioned Jameis Winston, and my first pick is Thursday Night Football.
It's
I'm taking
Jameson
Pittsburgh
Winston.
Steelers. Yeah, right, Jameson. Pittsburgh minus 3.5 at Cleveland on Thursday Night Football. I just, I still got some love for Russ, and Pittsburgh keeps winning. Pat's mentioned this multiple times on the pod. Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh just wins. Is Cleveland not atrocious? They're terrible. And even though this is an interdivision rivalry game, I just felt like this line seems light to me. So give me Pittsburgh minus 3.5. That's my first one.
All right, I like it. I have rarely picked Michigan games this year, but this one just really stands out. As bad as Michigan has been on offense, and believe me, they have been very bad on offense. Northwestern has been even worse. At least Michigan has played with discipline. They have averaged only 4 penalties per game, which I do think is pretty impressive. While Davis Warren is still one of Michigan's worst starting quarterbacks ever, he has shown signs of improvement and a little bit more confidence recently. I think he can do just enough against Northwestern on Saturday to keep the Wolverines moving the ball. The game is at the Big House, and Michigan sitting at 5-5 with Ohio State looming next week. They know they must get this win to get to be bowl eligible. I am strongly feeling a blowout here by multiple touchdowns, so I am comfortable laying the points, which is a very rare feeling for me this year with Michigan. But let's take Michigan minus 12.
Nice. All right. Second one for me is KC laying 10 points against Carolina. And I know it's a lot of points, and Kansas City doesn't put
Pat,
up a
who
ton
are
of
you?
points. I know this is what's
Who
going
is
to
this
happen.
Pat Collette? This is an imposter.
Kansas City's going to be
Okay.
pissed. Kansas City's going to be pissed after losing to the Bills, and will want to make a statement against the bad but improving Carolina team. But the Chiefs' run D is good, and Carolina needs Chuba Hubbard to move the ball on first down, and so they aren't. And second and third and long, I think get some takeaways and some turnovers from Bryce Young, and maybe Taylor Swift will get back with Travis Kelce after the game, after they win by 10.
Love it.
That's my second.
Love
I know.
it. I don't even know who you are anymore. I don't even know who you are anymore.
I feel like they'll get that offense going, KC, this week. I think it's Hopkins will probably have a touchdown, and they'll light it up this week.
I like it. My second one, I'm going to try to be brief. Hopefully you guys are hearing me okay, just with this whole situation out here in Seattle. So Detroit -7. They've been boat racing teams. Indianapolis is at home, but I really like the Lions to cover this, touchdown spread. I was actually surprised to not see it with a hook on it or even a little bit bigger. Give me Detroit -7.
Nice, Bill. All right. Are you guys ready for Bierman's lock of the year?
Oh, let's go.
Well,
don't do that. No.
You're gonna have to wait one more week, but it's coming soon. However, this one does feel like a gift. I absolutely love this game. I thought long and hard about making it my lock of the year, but we are gonna
lock
wait
of the season?
one more week on that. We we have gone to the state of Louisiana with good results several times this year, and we're going to go back. This time back to the Ragin' Cajuns. Despite coming off an unexpected loss to South Alabama last week, Louisiana is 8-2, and they are sitting atop the Sun Belt. They now face the Troy Trojans. They host the Troy Trojans. Troy is a bad 3-7 squad whose only win over a team with a winning record came last week against 6-4 Georgia Southern. Louisiana boasts a top 12 offense, a top 40 defense. They have exceptional ball security with only 6 turnovers all season. Playing at home, pissed from a loss last week with a conference title game to prepare for, I expect the Ragin' Cajuns to dominate and cover the 11.5-point spread easily. Give me the Ragin' Cajuns minus the points.
Nice. Well, we do have a two-pat. We have a two-pat, Bill. You know I'm going Detroit until they prove me wrong.
Yes.
7 seemed like a low number against Indy. I mean, I feel like Detroit's offensive line with Penei Sewell and Chanhassen, Minnesota's own Frank Ragnow, are going to neutralize what Indy has, which is a pretty good defensive line. So I think there's just so many weapons. They're gonna run it up. It's probably another route or close to route. So give me the lock of the season. My autumnal lock is going to be Detroit until they prove wrong.
The autumnal lock.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I love it. That needs to be a feature on the site. Yeah, so love that, Pat. Thank you. I feel like at least I'm going to win one now that I've got one pick that's along with you. So that's great. My last one, and you know what, guys? I actually thought about reverse jinxing. I thought about hedging against my hometown Hawks, just so I'd feel better if they lost the game. Can you guys believe this? The Seahawks, if they beat Arizona this week, are going to be in first place in the NFC West. Who would have thunk it? I mean, Seahawks are getting a point at home, coming off a nice win against the Niners last week in San Fran. Why are the Cardinals favored in this game? It makes no sense. Seahawks have the better quarterback. They have the better defense. They have a terrible offensive line. I understand that, but I don't think Arizona's that good either. Give me the Hawks +1, first place in the NFC West. Let's go.
Love it. You're bringing it strong today, Bill. Man.
Hey, you know when you can't see my face.
You well.
Yeah.
There's something I like
what
about
you got
Bill
for your
so
third
much
year
more this week.
I know. It's like the feedback. If the feedback comes in strong this week, I'm going to really take it personally. I'm going to just say it right now. This show is better than ever. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what's going on.
Just
Watch our ratings skyrocket like
I know.
500%.
Ratings skyrocket. It's like
so
every now and
there
then
he
I
is.
got to just pop in here, before. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm back.
Oh God.
All right, Spearman, what you got?
Just like the day you
All
were
right. And I'll
just see Bill's head popping out.
always scares me to back the America's Darling team against the powerhouse Blue Blood because
Here it
usually the
is.
upstart falls short. Not going to Indiana Ohio State.
Oh, I thought it was Indiana.
I am going Army plus the 16 points at Notre Dame. There is just something different to me about this Army squad. They face Notre Dame every year, so they won't be intimidated walking into this matchup. These teams are so freaking evenly matched by the statistics. Army and Notre Dame rank 41st and 42nd in offense and 5th and 6th in defense, respectively. And their against the spread records are nearly identical. Army is 7-1-1, while Notre Dame is 7-2-1. Army has only turned the ball over 4 times all season, and their ability to control the clock and grind out drives, I think it's just going to keep this game close. I do expect the Irish to win, but this spread of 16 just feels too large to me. I like Army to cover.
Man, I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I do too. But we will see. All right. Well, good picks there, guys. I'm feeling an 8-0. Well, I guess we could go 9-0. Yeah, we can go 9-0 because you guys did 2-Pat. You didn't go against each other, so could be another strong week for us. All right, we're gonna turn to this week's top 5. As our listeners know, we try to alternate each week between sports-focused top 5s and more general or pop culture type ones. Well, last week we did TV shows, and I messed up in prep this week and told Bill it was time for another non-sports related one, and it was his turn to pick the top 5 topic this week. So his topic is another non-sports related one, but it's going to be an awesome one. We're going to run with it. We promise to do a sports-centered one next week. But I will say I am excited about this one because it is right up my alley based on what I divulged last week. I absolutely am obsessed with the idea of time travel. Thus, this top 5 is our top 5 destinations we would love to go to if we had a time machine. All right, Pat, lead us off, buddy.
This was the toughest top 5 I've ever had to deal with. I was even asking my wife and daughter where they would go for ideas. But for me, number 5, let's go 2001, September 11. Stop those sons bitches. Lay it down. That's number 5. And we don't need to, dwell on that too long, but that would be to stop, if we can intervene. But then my number 4 would be 30,000 BC, just to check and see what the planet looked like, maybe see some dinosaurs. I don't even know if that's the right time period. A lot of years BC, but just kind of see what the planet looked like. No buildings. See if we can see a velociraptor flying around. Yeah, it would be like the show The Land Before Time.
That'd be awesome.
Did velociraptors fly?
I don't even know. Isn't that a velociraptor that flies?
I think pterodactyls.
Pterodactyl.
Fly, but
Phil,
there you go.
Spearman, I don't know my dinosaurs. I just think it'd be cool to go way back.
Well, if you're going back to 30 million BC, you probably should learn your dinosaurs.
It's 30 million? I only said 30,000. Shows how much I know.
I don't
this
think
sounds like a
30,000
nailed it
BC
question. This is a nailed it question coming up.
When were dinosaurs alive? 40 billion BC.
I mean, I'm embarrassed to say that I would have butchered that guess.
I'm going like
800
trillion BC.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure
Yeah,
that was when they had
those are
like
great,
little
Pat.
amoebas running around. Yeah.
Yeah, those
Bill,
are really
sorry,
good
go
ones.
ahead.
I was so curious. Yeah, no, those are really two good ones. I was really curious to hear how you guys were going to approach this question because Pat, you kind of hit the nail on the head with your September or your 9/11 one for me because, I don't want to jump the gun here on my top five, but that's how I thought of a few of these ones. And so my number one is a little bit more of just a iconic moment in United States history. I'm going to jump back to July 20th, 1969 for the NASA moon landing. And I don't even think I need to be on the Apollo mission that landed on the moon, but just to be in the country watching this event happen. I mean, everything you always see and hear and read is just how every single person was watching a television, listening to a radio. Um, the country never probably felt more united. And in today's day and age, when it feels so divided, I just felt like that would be such an inspiring time to travel back to and see that happening. I mean, I know lots of people still wonder if it actually happened, the conspiracy theorists, but I'm on board. What a time to be alive! What a time to be an American! Congrats to Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin. I just thought that would be a really cool one. My number four is a little weird, probably, I guess, but I thought about traveling back in time to the city that I love, Seattle, and just a little bit like Pat saying he wanted to see the earth without all this stuff. I just thought, how cool would it be to go back to your hometown and see it in a completely different day and age? So I'm traveling back to July 1897. The Klondike Gold Rush is happening. And this is really when Seattle became a central hub for miners heading into the Yukon Territory and the gold fields. And I don't know why, but I've always had this affinity for gold mining. I don't know why. I've never really done it outside of just panning for stuff. But what a cool time. I mean, the city vibrant, growing. They battled through a gigantic fire that basically wiped out the entire town of Seattle. And then this was kind of the rebirth and the growth. And I just thought, how cool would it be, to see that? So that was my number four. How about you, Bierman?
Nice. All right. So, for my number five, I hate to agree with Pat, but we're going way, way back. I do want to just first throw out though the caveat that I am assuming in all situations I'm putting myself in that I will stay safe and will be able to travel back at any time. If that is the case,
I did the same. Yep.
These are hypothetical, so you can just make up whatever you want. You don't have to follow any rules.
Good. And I do find it interesting. I did not think of going back to places where I could actually change history, kind of like you did, Pat, which I think is an interesting take. That may have changed. Certainly would have changed some of my answers. Mine were more of just to observe it or to see it or to experience it. So, but anyway, I want to go to the original Jurassic Park, travel back hundreds of millions of years ago and see actual dinosaurs in real life. I'm not sure if you guys grew up watching Land of the Lost as a kid, but I freaking loved that show. Mm-hmm. I always thought it was cool that this family traveled back in time and was now stuck with dinosaurs in the Sleestack, unfortunately, but that's another story. I just think it'd be cool to see T-Rex, Brontosaurus, pterodactyls, obviously, velociraptors flying around, all in real time. But
150,000 years ago.
Yeah, all right, so for my number four, I'm gonna do Pat's favorite.
That was my velociraptor impression.
that was actually pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Pat loves when I combine two answers into one number here, so we're gonna do it again. I'm throwing together a twofer, and the reason why is that these two people lived in somewhat similar time frames. However, they were very different people. All right, so I am not a religious person by any stretch, but I do think it would be cool to see Jesus back in the day giving his sermons and teachings. So I'd like to go see that. And while I'm there, already in that general time frame, I'd love to jet on over to Egypt and check out Cleopatra, see if the old beer man's charms could work on the Queen of the Nile. Kind of want to see what the fuss is all about, and maybe bring her some deodorant just in case things take a little bit of a turn there. You never know. That's the only problem with traveling back to see people long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't think their hygiene habits quite are what we are used to today. All right, so Pat, what do you got for 3 and 2?
Yeah, I thought about time of Jesus, and then I thought about the time of when I started someone in Touchdown Jesus that didn't play this week. So, but I'm not going to go back to either of those times. My next one was well, in 1994 when I bought my first tin of chewing tobacco. And I would go back and I would slap that shit right out of my mouth, my 17-year-old self, and say, don't do it. Because now my recent usage is sparse, but I spent about 20 years with a good lip cricket in my mouth, a lip steak, dipping, got a dip. And I'm just waiting for it to catch up to me. It's just not good. Not good for you.
That's a good one.
So I would tell my 17-year-old self to just lay off the lip steaks. Do something else. Do some booger sugar.
That's
do
good.
some cocaine.
Interesting
don't judge
choice.
the dip. Yeah. No, but it would be like, kind of like Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox. Where you go back and try to change something. That's kind of how I saw this project.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And I get another one, don't I?
2?
I get another one. All right. This one, I know I seem like a macho guy and really tough guy, but I want to go back to when my kids were young and little babies and be able to hold them again when they're nice and when they're crying because of gas and not because they have to do the dishes. And so, yeah, I know. It's a little cheesy. That's
Look
for
at the softer side of Pat.
That's for the lady listeners. That's for the lady listeners. All the Michael Penix fans in the house.
Just took a time machine.
Yeah. No, I do miss that
just
stage.
Took a time
I
machine.
miss seeing them as babies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you. That is a good one. I think my number 3, you guys, is similar to sort of Pat's line of thinking about maybe changing the course of history. And I'm going back to December 6th, 1941, the day before the day that will live in infamy, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor that very next day on December 7th. I mean, can you think, could you warn everyone? Could you somehow convince people? Probably not, right? I mean, people would think you're nuts or crazy, or maybe they knew, but they wouldn't change anything. And just how much different would the world be if, that attack was thwarted on December 7th? So that was one for me. Again, a heinous day in U.S. history. All the lives lost, service members, families, everybody affected on December 7th. Just an awful day. But I do, there's a part of me that thinks that it would have been so interesting, not cool, but just so interesting to be there to see that happen, right? And again, with what Bierman said, we're totally safe, and we're just watching this kind of from our time machine. But anyway, yeah, that's my number 3. My number 2 is again very similar. I'm going to November 21st, 1963. The JFK assassination happens the next day on the 22nd. And I just find it so fascinating to think, like, could you have stopped this somehow? If you could not make those ripples in the space-time continuum, would you set up camp on the grassy knoll? Would you set up camp in the Texas School Book Depository building? Like, where would you go? Like, how would you get the best view, or how would you, and what if you had a high-tech camera? I mean, are you, the Zapruder film and all the grainy challenges of trying to, you know, deconstruct this horrible event? Just what if we just had a better camera technology? Would that have helped things? So anyway, that's my 3 and 2. Obviously huge days in American history. Eric, how about you?
You guys are making me feel really good. I mean, all you guys want to do is spend time with family or save the world from awful events through the course of history. And I'm here trying to get it on the sheets with Cleopatra. So thanks, guys. This is awesome.
Hey, you were trying to give her deodorant. You were trying to be nice and give her deodorant.
I was trying to help her with that. Yeah. All right. So I have mentioned this event before, and I was actually alive for it, but I want to go back and experience it live as an adult. It's the only sports specific one on my list, and one of the most memorable sporting events ever. We are traveling back to February 22nd, 1980, to Lake Placid, New York. We are getting tickets and watching live the Miracle on Ice. I am obsessed with the 60s, 70s time frame, and you will see that even more in my last 2 choices. And while this was, technically in the 80s, it's close enough. So it feeds my patriotism, my nostalgia, and my sports nut enthusiasm. So that's my number 3. And for number 2, you've heard this one before. We've got a 2 bill on this one. We are going back to July of 1969, and I wasn't quite sure of the rules of the game, if we were allowed to take the time machine to the moon, or back there, and I could somehow sneak on to, the rocket. I'd love to do that.
You can also bring a ray gun.
Okay. Okay, good. I would love to see these astronauts land there firsthand. But even if I wasn't allowed, I got to go with what Bill said, just to go back to that time frame and experience all the buzz that I think this nation was experiencing at that time. And you said it well, Bill. Like, it seemed like the nation was all one nation, and very undivided, and that's very different than how it feels today most of the time.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to experience that, and just being able to hear Walter Cronkite's voice talk through the landing, I think would be pretty cool too.
Definitely.
So those are my 3 and 2. Bill or Pat, what do you got for number 1?
Number 1, I thought I would go back to like 1920s baseball game, like the 1927 Yankees. Watch Murderers Row. Watch just an old time baseball game.
Nice.
The New York Yankees, and like just bring a dress up to go to the game, and bring a quarter and get like Cracker Jacks and like old school baseball field. I think, and watch an old school baseball game. I thought that would be kind of cool, and hopefully not in black and white. Were things in color back then? Was life in color back then? Newsflash. That's my number 1. Now we watch the Yankees. And Murderers Row. Babe Ruth.
I love that one.
Yeah. I actually, believe it or not, Pat, I thought about that one. Like, not so much specific to just a baseball game in the 20s, but I did think about going back to the 20s overall. So that's a good one.
Yeah, I thought my baseball.
All right, Bill, what do you got?
My baseball honorable mention was Jackie Robinson. I just thought how cool it would have been to see him break the color barrier. But I didn't put it into my top 5, but yeah, Pat, that's an awesome one. I love that. My number 1 is, gosh, I would argue maybe one of the biggest days in world history. And I'm going back to June 6th, 1944, for the D-Day invasion on the beaches of Normandy, France. And obviously just a horrible day, as horrible as it can be in wartime, but also just what a tremendous day. As the Allied troops landed, they're able to start the march to Berlin. And I went there with my wife, and I mean, I still get chills thinking about that. And for whatever reason, you guys, I'm not a religious person either. As Bierman said, I don't consider myself to be a very spiritual person, but I felt like I had been there. I felt that I was on that beach, and I don't remember ever feeling that way for anything in my life. And I have such a love for war and war history. Not war, I shouldn't say that, but a love for war history. Anyway, just what a amazing event to see firsthand. Again, awful understanding how many people were wounded and died, but boy, that's my number one, guys. I think it would just been an incredible scene.
Wow. Pretty powerful stuff, man. Thanks for sharing that. For my number one, last week I said when I heard the topic of favorite TV shows, I immediately knew my number one was going to be 24. Same thing with this topic. As soon as Bill shared that it was going to be top time travel destination, I knew that this was going to be my number one, hands down. As I said, I'm obsessed with the 60s and 70s. I love that time frame. I was born in 72, so I vaguely remember some of the 70s, but missed the 60s completely. So many just interesting, cool things happened in the 60s, including the moon landing that I mentioned earlier. But for this one, we probably just stay in 1969 after the landing for a few weeks, hang out with some hippies, and then we are heading up
Woodstock.
to a small
Yeah.
farm. We are
Awesome.
heading up to
Did I cut you off?
Woodstock. There's always been something. No, I mean that you nailed it right. There's always been something about this event. Like since I was a little kid hearing about it, I'm like, I want to go to something like that. That sounds so awesome. So, I don't know, the incredible music, the drugs, the alcohol, the kids being kids attitude. Maybe it was the free love sentiment that attracts me there. But nevertheless, this is one of the most iconic events in the 20th century. I've watched a ton of movies and shows about it, and just would absolutely love to experience it. So man, that was fun. That was an interesting one because we all did take kind of different angles and ways of thinking of it, and we had some crossovers on that one too, which TV shows I was guessing we definitely were gonna have crossovers. I'm not sure I would have guessed we were gonna have as many crossovers on this one as we did. So good one. Thanks for the topic there, Bill. That was awesome.
That was a good one.
Fun.
I was thinking about going to like a Zeppelin concert in the 70s, but Woodstock, I didn't even think about that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, great call there, Beerman. Great call in Woodstock.
But no such thing as free love. It always comes with a cost. So
it always comes with a price.
It's a myth. It doesn't exist. Sorry.
All right. Well, everyone, we want to get into my favorite segments. I don't know why I love it. Oh, yeah, I do. It's because I'm kicking your guys' asses in it. We're going to talk about Nailed It. Before we get into the host piece of this, I want to talk a little bit about the listener part of it. We had a decent turnout of listeners in week one, but we doubled that in week two as our listener competition continues. So we continue to get a lot of momentum and participation. Want to give congratulations to our week two winner, Mr. Brandon Kramer. This means that Brandon makes it on the leaderboard and is eligible for our end of season Super Bowl Nailed It edition, along with Matt Paston, who was our week one winner. All other weekly winners will also compete in that, and then the winner in the Super Bowl edition will win an expenses paid trip to either Cincinnati, Seattle, or Minneapolis for a weekend with the three of us, a scrumptious dinner, and some sort of sporting event. And you will be a guest on one of our podcast episodes. Another reminder that each week opens up a new opportunity for everyone to make the leaderboard. So it doesn't matter if you missed last week, just join this week. To enter, all you have to do is go to our website, entertainmentsports.com, go to the Nailed It tab, and then click on the big link at the top of that page. That will take you to the 5 questions where you type in your answers for this week, click submit, and you are good to go. It takes less than 2 minutes. You can also find the answers to last week's questions on our site too. Just don't forget that you do need to submit your picks each week by noon Eastern time on Saturday. All right, Bill, take it away for this week. Let's get into it.
Okay, well, so as Eric so aptly just described, he is kicking Pat and I's ass. Eric's got 29 points. He's got a 7-point lead on me with 22, and Pat stayed at 20 points this week. So our episode 13 results: Eric had 3, I had 3, Pat, unfortunately, like his Vegas bets, it did not go well. 0 points. All right, so I think what we'll do, because my weather situation out here, is we're going to just skip over episode 13 and the results. We're going to go right into our episode 14 questions. So are you guys ready?
And-
You got your phones
Yeah,
out?
that sounds good, Bill. And I will just remind listeners, if they do want to see the results, again, they can go to our website and we will post the results from episode 13 so you can see all the answers.
Great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good caller.
All right,
Okay.
Bill, let's go.
So you guys got your phones out? All right.
Mhm.
Here we go. Question number 1. Detroit Lions at Indianapolis Colts. How many rushing yards for Anthony Richardson? He is currently averaging 39.1 yards per game. How many rushing yards for Anthony Richardson? 3, 2, 1, send. Okay. Sanders 66, Bierman 48, Klett 54. Question number 2. We've talked about this already on the pod. Number 5 Indiana travels to Columbus to face number 2 Ohio State on Saturday. What will be the total points in this contest? The over-under is currently at 51.5. Total points. Are you guys ready? 3, 2, 1, send it. All right, Sanders went low, 40. Bierman, 48. Klett, 52. Question number 3. There are some massive lines in college football this weekend. What will be the biggest margin of victory on Saturday, 11/23? And just a note, UTEP at Tennessee. Tennessee is a 41.5 point favorite. UMass at Georgia. Georgia's a 42 point favorite. And then we've got 3 lines that are not, they're actually off. Citadel at Clemson, Charleston Southern at Florida State, and Wofford at South Carolina. All those games, any team, Division I team that's playing. Okay. So
Florida
even though there's
State's
no
gonna
line on
wanna
those
whoop.
games,
Florida State finally gets
they're
one.
going to want to whoop. Yeah, exactly. So the biggest margin of victory from Saturday 11/23 for any D1 team. All right. Are you guys ready? 3, 2, 1, send. Oh my gosh, you guys both guessed 60 and I guessed 62. Okay. We're thinking there's going to be some absolute blowouts. All right. I thought so as well. All right. So question number 4. Okay. You guys love soccer. I know you guys love soccer. At some point, you guys are going to start to feel this passion for the sport that I love so much. We have the Major League Soccer playoffs. They're in the semifinals. My beloved Sounders are at LAFC. New York FC hosts the New York Red Bulls. Orlando hosts the Atlanta United. LA Galaxy hosts Pat's beloved Minnesota Loons, Minnesota United. What will be the highest combined goal total in any of the 4 games this weekend? And just a couple notes. LA Galaxy in Minnesota is the highest over-under at 3.5. The other 3 games are all listed at over-unders of 2.5. Okay? So, highest combined goal total in any of the games this weekend. 3, 2, 1, send. Klett, 2. Bierman, 8. Sanders, 5. All right. And our last question of Nailed It, episode 14. There are 56 Division I men's college basketball games on Saturday, 11/23. How many of them will go into overtime? 3, 2, 1, send.
Yeah.
Okay, Bierman and I both guessed 5. Klett, 6. All right, he's hoping for a lot of OT games. Wow. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. There could be some big ranges in this one.
Yeah.
So good luck to all you listeners. Love that you guys are jumping in here and playing. We're having fun with this contest. It's going to be a blast all the way to the Super Bowl. So keep playing. Love to have you guys participating. Good luck,
All
Sandman
right.
Nation.
Thank you, Bill. Yeah, I'm not feeling good about this week, to be honest with you. So,
Well, you got a big lead to work with.
I do. I have a big lead to work
And
with.
a time machine to go back and
all right,
redo it.
guys. I can. It was another fun show, but it is sadly time to exit Sandman Sports. But before we go, I want to share again about a super exciting event coming next week. Please, everyone, join Sandman Sports for an exclusive Black Friday live stream event. That is right. On Black Friday, November 29th at 3 p.m. Eastern, we are bringing you an exciting live stream event during the Kansas City Chiefs Las Vegas Raiders game. Hosted by the dynamic St. Louis Syndicate duo of Nate Blackston and Brandon Lewis, the stream will feature special appearances from this ragtag crew, yours truly, Pat Klett, and the Sandman, Bill Sanders. While we can't stream the game itself due to NFL licensing, we've got you covered with live reactions, game insights, podcast-style segments, in-game betting discussions, pool updates, a nailed it contest recap, and much, much more. So finish your shopping early, tune into the game on your TV, and join us on Facebook Live via the Enter Sandman Sports channel for all the fun. It's the perfect way to relax, enjoy the action, and hang out with the Sandman Sports crew. So don't miss it. Bill, we also have some Squares games that we are offering for Black Friday. Do you want to share some details on how listeners can join those pools if they're interested?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Eric. You guys, I am so excited about this. It's going to be a blast. And we did that little test run, and we had some great participation. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, in plus the content and the streaming and hanging out, I think we thought it'd be fun and right in line with what we've done through the years, which is offer a couple pools as well. So, if you're interested and you like squares pools, we've got 2 different grids, and in the Black Friday theme, we've got a $25 pool that is the Walmart special, we're calling it, and then we've got a $100 squares pool that we're calling the Rolex Superior. So you can access those. Email me, bill@entersandmansports.com, or just go to the link. It's pools.entersandmansports.com/pools.php. And you can find both grids there. Tons of people have already signed up, so do not wait until Black Friday. Get in there and grab your squares. You can grab as many as you want. And yeah, we're really looking forward to this. And then we might even have a couple other contests that we're thinking about throwing together that will be really fun for all of you guys to come and participate on Black Friday. Can't wait.
Yeah. Can't wait. Should be fun. My God, Bill does look like he's coming at us from the apocalypse right now.
Yeah.
I just
This is scary.
You guys, I did not sleep last night. I'm sitting in my truck on Wi-Fi, dialing into a podcast when we have no power anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. This is incredible time to be alive. That's all I have to say. This is awesome, and what a treat to be with you guys tonight, because I didn't think I was going to be able to make it. This has just been an absolute blast. I think I've probably burned through about a quarter tank of diesel fuel just sitting in my driveway for the last 2 hours. But yeah, what a blast, man. This has been awesome.
Well, in all seriousness, Bill, we do hope you and the family and all your neighbors and everybody out there in Seattle stay safe and can recover quickly from all the destruction out there. It sounds pretty nasty, and glad to hear that you guys are safe. All right. Well, one final plea before we leave for today. Please, listeners, check us out on social media, like us, subscribe to us, and tell others about us. We're on Instagram at Enter Sandman Sports. You can check out our website at entersandmansports.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Enter Sandman Sports. Follow us on Facebook at Enter Sandman Sports. Thanks, everyone. Take care, and here's hoping more of your bets win than lose this weekend. Have a great one, everyone. See ya.
Good luck, guys.
See you guys.